Welcome back. This is News Across All Arenas mini pod with myself, Ryan, and my partner over there, Andre. Uh, make this a quick one, but not too much happening this week. Well, as far as the NFL uh free agency, but you can listen to that in our main
On the
pod.
main pod.
But for this one, uh, WWE news. The biggest thing that happened that week on Raw was actually the steel cage match against CM
Yes.
Punk and Seth freaking Rollins. And man, let me tell you, that match was really good. It was very entertaining. It definitely felt like it was a PLE match, uh, where CM Punk and Seth, they're just going at it. They're trading um finishing moves, and I know that there's history between the two of them, and I know that they don't like each other. I don't know if it's just kayfabe or if they genuinely just don't like each other. But if they don't like each other or they do like each other, they're doing a very good job, like just showing the hatred for each other. It almost kind of reminds me of like the Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels like feud years ago
This really
where
reminds me of Edge and Matt Hardy.
yeah, that too. But it's
You're
just
kind
like
of
they don't it almost just I believe it that they don't like each other, man.
they're blurring the lines between kayfabe and, you know,
For sure.
yeah. So it's like, um, I don't know. I mean, like you said, it's you can't tell because you've heard interviews. So it's like, okay, well,
Yeah.
maybe there is some hatred. Maybe there isn't. Maybe it's a work that's been going on for a
Well,
long
let me tell
time.
you what, they're working me, man, because I am like, I'm I believe it. I really do.
For it.
I'm here for it. But anyways, the match was in my eyes, it was a 10 out of 10 for sure. Whenever they fight each other, whether they like each other or not, they work well together.
I mean, you
Um,
gotta be professional no matter
yeah,
what.
and and
That's
and you
also
you
another
can
thing.
tell that, they obviously are, not only are they good at promos, but they are good wrestlers and they work well with each other, like we mentioned, and it was a flat out entertaining match. At the end, that's where it got spicy. The funny thing was, like, I knew at some point Roman Reigns was gonna come, and I was watching it downstairs with my family, and I kept like every time they like looked, they panned the shot of like uh Punk and Seth close up, and then you can see like the entrance. I was like waiting for it to like turn blue and white. Roman Reigns. I'm like, oh, one, two, three, cue Roman Reigns, and he just never would show up, and the music never hit. And then finally, like you could hear the crowd um getting excited and like, okay, something's about to happen now. And then here comes Roman Reigns coming through the crowd, jumping the barricade and pulling out Seth Rollins out of the cage through the door, and inadvertently makes him win the match. But obviously that wasn't his intention for him to win. His intention was to beat the shit out of him, which he did. Spears him, Superman punches him, and uh, last week he said that he was gonna hand out receipts, and he gave that receipt back to Seth Rollins with the
I
stomp.
wish this was the main event. I wish this was the main event at WrestleMania. I wish.
So let's go back to that. So before we mention that part, um, so he stomps Seth, and inside the ring is Paul Heyman
Oh
consoling
yeah,
CM
I did
Punk.
see that.
And the way that the camera angles were on TV, you didn't even see Paul Heyman. And once he did that stomp on Seth, that's when you finally see uh Punk and uh,
Oh, hey.
Paul Heyman in the ring, like, consoling him, and it was just like, when Roman saw that, he kinda, like, like, so he goes in the
What the
ring and
fuck are you doing?
just, you know, gives a beat down on Punk as well because he threw him out, in Royal Rumble, so there's another receipt. So, going back to what you were saying, I think we are gearing up for a Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins and CM Punk at WrestleMania in one of the nights, in a triple threat match. I don't think it's, too far-fetched. I think that's what they're leading up to. Are you here for it?
Oh, I'm definitely here for all that. Please. I will take, well, they already took my money, but they're gonna take more of my money on WrestleMania week. No, they already took my money because, you know, I bought the Travis Scott shirt.
I'm a bad
Oh, quick,
influence on
just
you,
really
huh?
quickly, outside of wrestling, just really quick, DeAndre Hopkins just reached an agreement on a 1 year deal to go to Baltimore.
Oh, wow.
So we'll talk about that.
Next week.
Not
Not
maybe
next
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 week.
week. Yeah.
Next week.
We are
We
taking
won't
a
be in
break on the
Vegas.
pod next
We
week,
won't
but
be
we'll
in
be
Vegas.
back.
We're out with those going out. It's
So, that is, definitely worth talking about next, in 2 weeks. Going back to WWE, so you say
going
you're
back to
here for it,
WWE.
for
Yeah,
the,
no, I'm
triple threat.
I'm here for it. I mean, when you have a storyline this good, it should be the main event. But obviously, you got Jey Uso and Gunther,
Okay,
and you got
so, I was, dabbling on the TikTok and listened to other, wrestling pods or whatever, on social media, and, someone brought up a good point that, like, WrestleMania or, like, matches don't always have to be title matches that are, like, main events. And yes, Jey Uso, I guess he gets a match for a championship at WrestleMania, and usually you're supposed to main event it, but then Triple H came back a few weeks later and said that not all matches are locked into the main
right.
event. So that kind of tells me that they are gearing up for maybe the triple threat match as
So
one of
it
their.
could be a main event.
Yeah, I and honestly, I love Jey Uso, but I would rather see that as a main event because the I know there's no title on the line, but this match has so many
This,
layers to
yeah,
the
there's so many
onion.
factors, layers. Yeah.
It it would just be so much better. The storyline is ridiculous. And with these 3 guys, like, ever since Shield breaking up, Seth, um, betraying, Roman and Dean Ambrose, the
Now John
chair shot
Moxley.
heard around the world, and then, CM Punk, um, and Seth hating each other, and how Seth definitely feels that he's the one that gave his blood, sweat, and tears ever since Punk left the company years ago. And then you have this Paul Heyman storyline where uh, Punk used to be a Paul Heyman guy and now he's on Roman's side, and what we just mentioned about the at the end of Raw with Paul Heyman and Punk, it's like it's built so good, and I would definitely like to see that as a main event. And if it is, I would say that would probably be night one.
Yeah, 911.
You know, so
Because you got to save Cody and John for night two.
yeah, so I think we're gearing up for a really good WrestleMania, card. We still
Uh,
have, um, almost, a month and a half away, uh, from, WrestleMania here in Las Vegas, and it's gonna be wild. Like, I'm excited. Like you said, it was 38 days, right? 38 days.
38 days. 38
So,
days to WrestleMania.
but it's a
As
lot to
of
pick up.
March 11th. 38 more days. So by the
Uh,
time this comes out, it'll probably be like 35 or something like that.
for next week for Raw, that will be in Belgium,
Yep, they're doing the
um,
European
on
tours.
3 p.m. Pacific time.
No,
Or
3
no,
PM Eastern.
12, 12. Oh, yeah, yeah, 3 p.m. Eastern, it'll be 12 here on, Pacific time, so that's kind of odd. It'll the next few weeks because they're gonna be in Europe.
Yeah, they're
Uh,
their European tour. Yep.
but next week is going to be the first, meeting of well, they're 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 dubbing it as John Cena and, Cody Rhodes in the same roof, so at that only means that they are eventually going to see each other that night. So it'll be interesting to see. Um, I think we're all waiting to see what John Cena this heel is gonna look like. There has been rumors that John shaved his head. There has been rumors. Bald. Well, he's already bald, but there has reading into the dirt sheets, but say that his next role, movie role, they have the characters
Oh, well, if it's
bald.
for a movie role, then that makes
But
sense.
it makes sense, but I think they're tying
Well, they
in,
they have to
obviously.
tie it into that
Yeah,
because it's like, why did John go bald?
but then you heard, last week that the original plan was actually well,
There John was supposed
They
to turn
wanted Cody to
heel.
turn heel. Cody shot it down, and so they moved it up to Elimination Chamber for John Cena to turn heel because originally it was supposed to be at
Oh god,
WrestleMania.
could you
So it was
imagine?
yeah, it was
Could you
actually
imagine
better that they
could you
did it
imagine if that
at
was
the
at
season.
WrestleMania? Oh my god, I would've lost my shit.
No, well, then because it would kinda be predictable because it would kinda give that feel of, like, WrestleMania 17 where it was Stone Cold
And The Rock.
first and The Rock, where it was their second meeting and, um, Stone Cold turns heel and joins forces with Vince McMahon. So, I can understand if they didn't wanna do it like that and not be too
Sure.
close to that, so it makes sense. But yeah, man, that was a lot.
There's a lot.
It was a lot to take
The
in on that Raw at the end, but,
the
um
NHL trade deadline also happened. I don't wanna go too much into it. I can always go into a separate rant about that. But it did happen. I will give my thoughts on that, just not today, because I need to process everything still.
yeah, you were showing me some things, some crazy, crazy stuff went down.
We won't have a pod next week. We won't be out of town like we said. So, I might make another mini pod just by myself. Ryan's got family duties. So I'll talk to myself in
Ooh,
my
loser.
hotel room. But
Alright, well
no pod next week. Maybe a mini pod next week. We'll see. We'll play it by ear.
either way, we will,